Be strong in the Lord and know He is good. Your most difficult day is here. Ezekiel 2:1. Stand upon your feet and I will speak to you. John 5:8. Jesus said, get up, pick up your bed, your sleeping pad, and walk. In the dream I was walking out of the building, carrying my yoga mat, followed by others. The streets were flooded with water. There was a detour to leave by. Thinking the water was deep, not wanting to get wet, I laid my mat down and began to paddle on my stomach. After the detour led me to the same place twice, I picked up my mat and carried it. The water was only ankle deep. In Jerusalem, there was a pool near the Sheep's Gate called Bethsaida. Many sick and affected people would come here hoping to be healed by the bubbling waters. Verse 4 is left out of most manuscripts, referring to an angel who would come and stir the waters, causing them to bubble. The first person into the waters would be healed. There was a person there who had suffered with a deep-seated and lingering disorder for years, 38 years. Jesus asked him if he earnestly wanted to be healed. His answer was that I have no one to carry me down to the healing waters. This is when Jesus said to him, pick up your bed and walk. And this was the beginning of the trouble Jesus ran into in Jerusalem. Because he did do this on a Sabbath, and that's why he got into trouble. John 5:16. For this reason the Jews began to annoy and torment Jesus and sought to kill him. I died June 18th. No, I died at 6:18:43. Probably means the book of John 6. The other dream, 2/3 of my face has fallen off. I have lost most of my faith of any good thing happening to me anymore. For October 23, I told everyone that you would see. They thought that I would see what was for me, but they now see that they see what was for them. I saw that I would be free from all earthly possessions. I have lost my faith in people. 2 Chronicles, 2 King, and Isaiah 37 talks of Assyria, 701 BC. In a dream I came home and the house was open, doors and windows. My dad and mother had left and were not coming back. People began to just come in and sit down. I asked them to leave. I knew I was going to have to get new locks and keys. These people had been presumptuous. Many people have now become presumptuous. Study Isaiah 38. They are full of it, bold and forward in thought and conduct, unwarrantedly so, taking undeserved liberties. Outside, grilling meatballs, sandwiches. I made one for my dad, one for Tammy, and one for me. While I was waiting for my dad to come home, I made a cucumber salad, and I thought about adding lettuce, but decided it didn't matter anymore. And I was tired of waiting on Tammy to come out of her house. The sandwiches burned. I had decided not to fix my dad one. I pushed Tammy's to the side. They had burnt while I was waiting on Tammy. I ate mine anyway. I don't understand these notes here. 10 die on 6:18 p.m. On January 28th, 2007, was to not trust someone and to let things go. Probably the butterfly in the bull story, where I thought it was going to be a worm that became beautiful, and a man who would stand up. But really, the bull and the butterfly was a stock market scheme to make more money. I am doing everything I can to change my situation. I was told to do absolutely nothing to them. My mantra is do everything I can to change the situation, which is absolutely nothing. There is a place in 2 Kings and in 2 Chronicles that says to eat what springs up the first 2 years, but the third, rise up and eat of your own fruit trees and vines. Kings for 1981 and Chronicles for 2006. These are two scriptures that are the same, and they were given to me in two different eras. John 5:30. I am able to do nothing through myself. I am taught by God, and I get my orders from Him. Then I have to decide and make my decisions. As I hear, I must decide and make a choice. I make the right judgment when I do not seek or consult my own will. I have no desire to do what is pleasing to me or my purpose, only to do the will of the Father who sent me and will receive me again. Lamentations 5:21. Turn us to yourself, Lord, and we shall be turned and restored. Renew our days of old. John 6:44. No one is able to come to the Son unless the Father who sent him attracts him and gives him the desire to come to him. If he draws you, then Jesus will raise you from the dead on the last day. Pray that God turns us to Himself, that in this turning we will be restored and renewed, as though the dead had been raised to new life. Pause and think about that. The nail in the horseshoe dream is further explained in Ecclesiastes 12:9-11. This is the dream that Patricia Gray at the Yoga Gallery saw me have and told me I was having an out-of-the-body experience. The words of the wise are like nails, firmly fixing them in a firm place. The horseshoe was a vessel, which was the words that were wise, that were held in. A nail from the crucifixion of Jesus is the nail embedded in the spear of destiny from Charlemagne, or Prince Charles of the time. Only he who has traveled the road knows where the holes are the deepest. The rift at Galliano on the Mississippi will slip. I have felt like I have been at the Devil's Tower from Encounters of the Third Kind in Wyoming. I have been impressed to build a pile of mashed potatoes in the living room because something is going on that I cannot explain, but it will serve a greater purpose someday. In a large auditorium, there were lots of people sitting, and I was walking with Tammy toward the center of the building. She was with her mom. The lights went out. I could not see her. I had a light and knew if I could get out, I could come back for her. Of all the people, I was the only one to get out. As I came out of the building, two men in a pickup saw me. I knew I had to blend in. Two people were hiding in a manhole. I saw that they had hard hats. I asked them for one. After asking more than once, they gave me a white one. An old white goat gave it to me. I walked past looking at my notes like I was a contractor. I slipped into the crowd. They asked each other if there was anything odd about me. Yes, he had a picture of a woman on top of his hard hat. They would have had to be looking down on me to see that. And they noticed I was walking one way and everyone was walking the other. They decided to pursue me, but I had slipped away. John 5:45 through 47. Jesus will not be the accuser of the great judgment, but it will be Moses. I had found a large empty room, just perfect. I went to check out the shopping center. It was on the corner with lots of windows. On October 23, I saw the Darling family. I had to get past my fear of the guard dog. He was a German Shepherd. I walked into the front door of what I thought was my room, but it had been turned into a deli. Go forth and eat. Peter was told the same thing, so it must be a church. Jim and Marietta were there. They didn't want to talk, they wanted me to. Patricia Gray and I were at the resort at a place like Cancun, and she was going to sell lots on waterfront, but to me it was like Pine Cove, and I wonder for what she would sell them. James 4:2, you have not because you ask not. February 3rd, 2007, the 15th of Shavat, is the beginning of the new year for plants, or the time of the harvest as a result of the rains, the latter-day rains from October 23 of 2006. Look to October 13th in 2007. February 4th was celebrated all over America because of the Super Bowl Sundays, the Colts and the Bears. The Colts won, and the Bears went home to frigid cold temperatures, the worst in at least 10 years. I heard be nice to Tammy. She won't be with you long. Then a few days later, while thinking of this, I heard Jack Deere telling a story about a man who stood for Christ against the King of Scotland. A full moon comes in the middle of the Jewish month, a new moon at the first of the month. The story he told was of a man and woman who were married by a prophet, and he pulled the lady over to the side and told her, "Keep a burial shroud close, because he won't be with you long." They had a happy union for 3 years. Now is a time of integrity, to show your integrity. Do not be distracted. Women are a distraction. It is time to plant the seed because the ground is fertile, but it is not the time to harvest the fruit of that seed. Find people who will bring out of you what God has put in you. July 9th, 1962, Starfish Prime set the stage for the day of the satellites falling, or they're failing. Joe and Bonnie Allen are the first to put the satellites in the sky. Country Folk Growers subscription, not important. Moses, staff, leadership staff. Small-scale farmers should start charging more, not less, for their food, and to see themselves as on the cutting edge as artists in their own right. Iona Buffalo passed away at 1:55 a.m. on February 7, 2007. What does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his riches in heaven? Gene and Jim are similar. Gene Crocker, Jim Hartley. From a different organization, I meant to say a different generation. Bored from being on the board, walked from the board and was planted on a board. In their own ambition, they ate rats and mice. As snakes, there is a purpose here, because we know what damage they can do. Sometimes we step on their tails by not watching, and they bite us. Neanderthals are being looked at differently now, as successful groups divided into men and women, children groups. Men staying together to complete tasks and returning from time to time to see the women and the new children. They were replaced by another group of men who believed of one God and of one family. Here is the preview of coming attractions. Revelations of the past may very well have had to do with Dickinson theaters, the deli counters, or their snack bar. Guard dogs at the rear entrance, not to be feared. Walk through the door and eat. Peter, minister of the unclean, did eat. That's what a cleaning company would do. They would eat up that which was unclean. Poultry poultices for the bird flu. My dad and Viola had a backstage pass. They went up to the escalator to see a friend of theirs, and I was invited by my dad. A man at the foot of the escalator stopped me. I told him it was Bob's son. He laughed, and the crowd began to push me away. Somehow I made it to the escalator and went up. They were waiting for me, and we sat at a table and waited to see the man and his family bond behind the wall. The man who had restrained me from going up the elevator told me it wasn't his fault. Someone else was in charge of the book. There had been no entries made to it for over a year. That would be the end of 2005. He was in charge of another book which he had not kept up to date. He was going to review it. My dad said he called the name of a boy and his aunt on the old Andy Griffin show. Aunt B and Opie. I thought, I am not Opie, and Verlin is dead. Then he remembered and said in a loud voice, Viola Ruth Jones and Robert Wayne Jones. We went to the door and sat, and in chairs. Mine was in the left of my dad's. My mom was in front of the door with her back to the escalators going down. Even when the door opened, we could not go in. The man and his family would talk to us from the doorway. I knew he liked us, but we, Dad and me, could not enter. Books could be retirement plans, and I am not a dopey boy anymore. On another note, I must always remember The Bull and the Butterfly are for business purposes only. Powder Blue Productions. Take encouragement in Psalm 52. And this is somewhat rude, but please forgive me. Everybody is fucking somebody, and I am fucking nobody. Men should be politicians, soldiers, priests, mystics, and magicians. They should believe their paths have been shaped by divine and mysterious forces. Horace. For 70 days each year, Sirius disappears only to rise at dawn on August 5th. January 1st, 4713 BC at the 30-degree placement of this star. Masons and daughters of that organization decided that 4713 BC should be the 0 point, and all predictions and calendars should come forward from that date. Thus, the great cycle of the zodiac is 25,920 years. From Pisces to Aquarius, in the age of 2012, more or less, by a year or more or so. The birthday of Osiris is December 26th, midnight. It is the meridian crossing. From December 26th to December 31st, these will be the days of awe, or the days of danger at Giza. Or the 10 days of awe, the 10 days dropped from the calendar as decreed by the Pope. Each zodiac is 2,148. Can't read my own writing. And new birth is in the middle of each month. Weaken those who would challenge you. Build a reputation that would cause them to fear and not challenge. And third, win sympathy so that you might acquire that which they need for you to have. The purposes of the plagues and the establishment of the Hebrew people. They were those who were passing through and crossing over. El Shaddai, God of the mountains, Yahweh, I am who I am. It is true that all founding fathers and presidents were Masons except Kennedy and Lincoln, who were assassinated. Ash Wednesday, give up something. If cravings and desires are the causes of suffering, then give them up, would be positive, resulting in the extinction of suffering. Arya Stanya, which is Sanskrit word in yoga, which I never did learn Sanskrit, but it means a noble truth. Watch the transit of Venus, June 5th, 12th. Remember that W's are always when, what, and why. You'll have to have many W's to win this one, Wayne. The 10 days of all are days of anger. Psalm 4:4. Wayne, don't just dig holes and fill them in. The short brunette who asked, Is there a fire back here? Do I need to call for a fire truck? I had a dream about her one morning. That night I saw her at the health club. She was joining. In the dream we were smoking a cigarette, and I asked if I could taste hers. She said, when I first met you, I thought you were a clean-cut, nice guy. But after that night at Houlihan's, I knew that you were a really bad boy and very interesting to me. How weird is that? Attack the enemy where he feels the safest. I know where it is. Women are a distraction. Do not be distracted. I was in the dream watching a man and a woman in 2 separate stories on 2 separate discs. I was told to save it and watch it later. Also, I saw snow again. It snowed Friday, February 27th, year 2007. I watched a movie called Pearl Harbor about a woman, a man, and a war. Remember, Wayne, that the women who betrayed you will save you. I was in a room and was looking out through a glass door. The room was flooded with water to the ceiling. I had to swim up to get air from a breathing hole and swim back down to look out. A lady came and looked in at me and said, "Let him out." 2 days later, Pepper came to the sauna where I was sitting and came in, and I talked until her earrings got hot. The sauna has a glass door as in the dream. Iona died between 1:50 and 1:55 a.m. at home. I was woke up when she passed. I shit the bed. I've never done that in my life. I believe that when she passed away, she touched me as she left, and it caused a little bit of poop to come out of my butt like it did with her when she passed. Better to go home than to be spiritual. The revelation is not worth the aggravation. I do know this, though, that the pirates are pooling their resources. Pepper said that her ears are on fire. On the morning of 2/27/07, someone came into my room and sat on the edge of my bed and asked me if I was okay. I said yes and asked, "Why do you ask this? You went to bed last night early. You're still in bed and you didn't drink anything last night." "I'm okay. I just read to 12 and was still awake at 2. I wrote in my notebook." She said, "I see that you have." I asked her if she had read it. She said yes. I saw what was there. I told her that I would get up in a little while. "Okay," she said. When I woke up, I felt like someone or something would have to let me go and not out. February 27, 07. Next time I call in my Tylenol, which is personal business for my health concerns, so let's fast forward. Tammy has a rupture. They're not going to operate, they're going to mow it or maintain a watch over it. The ghosts of 5 cats haunt me. The first 3 hung on the crosses. The 4th attacked my groin and I cast it away. The 5th I was afraid of and will have to reconsider. I know exactly what that means. Lisa Uhl is Gina Barger's cousin. She got a divorce somewhere between 1984 and 1986. Cotton Barger worked at Yellow Freight. Lisa Uhl is a danger and has a reason for taking me out. All she has to do is justify it by saying it is her job to do so. I told her she takes pleasure in her job. I was sitting on the couch and heard lice. They fell like hail, but when I saw them they were fleas, and I wanted to flee from the lice. They covered the carpet and then my feet, and up they went. I started to pick each one off one at a time. Then I knew I would have to eradicate all of them all at once, so I, with a dust cloud of the Holy Spirit, I dusted them and covered them with the blanket of God. Pay attention. There is a virus coming that will change everything. It very well may be tuberculosis. Be ready for the apple trees and choose the best varieties. But you must first deal with the stinging nettle. 1831. In my sleep, I heard a delivery man drop a heavy package at my front door. I didn't remember ordering anything, and then another left a smaller package. I went outside after waking. Nothing there yet.